biggest thing that I say is to remember that the interactions with people who are depressed with therapy, there's a double-sided dynamic there, where the person who's reaching out for help, it can be extremely damaging and perilous to reach out for that help. Like when I was in my dark spot with my family being all nomadic, you would think that maybe I would reach out to a social worker and possibly try to get help, try to rescue me from the situation. But the possibility of that means that I reach out for help, and then that help investigates, and then my mom goes to jail, and then my stepdad goes to jail, and then my siblings all go to foster care, and it's all because I got help. And so, how much damage am I willing to cause on my family by getting myself assistance? And that was built in, and it ingrained in me when things like a social worker would investigate. There was a time when I went to a school. I was 5th or 6th grade. I was really dirty and smelly. I had the same dirty clothes for months and months. And I went to this school, and one day I walk in, and there's a brand new box of school supplies for me. There's a coat, there's some school supplies, there's a trapper keeper, all this nice stuff. The next day, my parents moved this. Because if that teacher's investigating, that means someone's looking too close and we need to get out. And so that ingrained into me at an early age that help is a negative. That seeking out for help can be painful. And so one of the things that I recommend therapists do to kind of limit that and to ease the area of communication is break small, tiny bits of protocol. Just nothing that's gonna invalidate the session, nothing's gonna mess up the routine, nothing's gonna actually mess up the therapy whatsoever. But just tiny bits of protocol that make you human, something that humanizes you, like you like the same song that they like, or you didn't tie your shoe correctly, or something small, a tiny human foible. Because when you're the depressed person reaching out for help, that therapist is a potentially life-altering authority figure, and the best way to communicate to drop that inherent facade of fear is to show that that's really just a person who's just doing a job. As soon as you can humanize and equalize that level. And on the therapist side, it's the same thing, to remember that person coming into you, while they're screaming in pain and while they might seem aggressive and might seem out of line, that might be the only language that they understand, that they've ever been taught how to express that anger and rage. That if when you're 4 years old and every adult in your life is screaming obscenities at each other and beating each other, how are you supposed to learn how to be nice? So you have to understand what depressive language that they're speaking so that you can speak in the same vocabulary. And the more you can normalize the two levels of the communication, to let the people reaching out for help know that you're going to be okay when you talk to me, and it's not going to possibly blow up your life. I'm going to assess you as a human, and not just a checklist, and not just that I have this program and this 12-step. I have a 15-year-old, and he just goes through therapy himself for stuff that happened with his mom. And there's two distinct kinds of therapists. You have the one therapist where he's like, I don't know what that was. You have the one therapist where he's like, okay, so we have the 12-step program, you need to have a journal, you need to write all this down, and that turns into white noise. That completely bounces off the head of my kid. He doesn't engage at all, none of it, just static. Then you have a second therapist who's like, oh, you like BTS? I like BTS, let's listen to that. 5 minutes later, you get the same checklist, you get the same journal, you get the same procedure. He absorbs all of that because now there's a person he has a connection with. First therapist we ignore completely, second therapist we invite to Christmas dinner. And the only difference there is the second therapist saw him as a person and gave him a little bit of human respect, that you like something I like.